we're gonna do a hip opener for the ages. 2 keys today. Make sure that you can breathe, number 1, and try to stay as active as possible. Contraction, relaxation, moving back and forth, okay? 2 big keys, make sure you're doing that throughout this entire thing. Starting out, let's just drop into the bottom of a squat. Kind of play around in the bottom of that. Ideally, we're trying to get those heels down flat if we can. If we can't, and you're all the way up here or whatever, just fight for getting those heels down and back. If you need to kind of push yourself back, whatever that is, try to get down to the bottom of that squat as deep as you can. It's okay to round in this position, just kind of sitting here like so, okay? Just kind of finding the bottom of that squat and what that feels like for you today. Next, what we're gonna do is just drop one leg out. Let's start with that left leg here into a deep Cossack squat. And nice and easy going through some rotations through that leg that's out. Again, fight for that heel being down. Good rotations here if you can. Try to squeeze the quad. Really focus on that rotation happening up around that hip joint, that hip socket. Again, staying active, controlling your breathing. Maybe you're sitting here holding yourself up, that's okay. It's a great thing to do first thing in the morning, right before a workout, throughout the day, you name it, great thing to do. All right, we'll come out of that, just up into kind of an upper split here, and just kind of wiggle back and forth, just kind of searching out the hamstrings, maybe a little bit of the groin, adductors here, driving through. Keep breathing. If you're doing it with somebody, have a conversation. If you're talking, you're breathing. Good. Again, just kind of searching out, keep moving, keep wiggling around in there. All right, let's drop down over that other leg. We got our right leg sticking out now. Again, try to get that heel all the way down flat. Get that shoulder, ideally inside of your hip will be helpful. Again, if you have to, hold yourself up, whatever that is. Big key here too. Keep that leg straight. Good rotations through that hip. This is entirely dependent upon what you're feeling. If that's feeling junky for you, doesn't feel too great, maybe you're sitting in this for an extra little bit of time. It's a wonderful thing about doing this is it's always dependent upon how you're feeling. All right, from here, we're gonna go ahead and just spin into a deep lunge. My shoulder's inside of my hip here. And again, all we're gonna do is I'm just gonna wiggle around inside of this, search out what I'm feeling, maybe get a little rotation through the hips, through the torso. Again, we're just kind of feeling across the front of this where we got extension through this hip, flexion through the opposite hip. I can use my shoulder to kind of drive up, out, and away. Show you here in this position, just kind of drive out. Okay, wiggle, I can kind of move through those hips. Good. Just kind of search that stuff out. You can squeeze the glute and drive that hip down and through. Let's go ahead and drop those elbows down if we can, inside of your leg. Some of you may not be able to reach that, and that's okay. Maybe we're here. Maybe we're down here. Just try to fight for as deep as you can get into that. Again, we're still breathing, still moving around in these positions, trying to play with that end range motion of the hip. Maybe you're squeezing the glute again, kind of driving down into that a little bit. Keep this foot over here nice and active on that ground, kind of gripping the floor as well throughout this whole thing. All right, we'll come up out of that one. Kind of back into that neutral position. We're gonna go ahead and rotate over our bent knee and try to look back towards our back foot. Kind of driving through that hip. Getting really long and linear across this front leg. Again, you can squeeze that glute and kind of accentuate and drive that hip down. Still breathing. As you look over that hip, it might feel kind of like a pigeon pose in this back hip. Really kind of maxing out that rotation in that hip. Good, now we're gonna come back through this way, drop down our right elbow, our opposite elbow of our up knee, and then we're gonna reach long and linear. can also kind of use this position to drive yourself back deep into that up hip. Get a little more stretch, a little more end range movement out of that. All right, we'll come back here again. We're gonna go ahead and put the back foot toe down. We're gonna lift that knee up and squeeze our quad. What we're gonna do now is drive this glute down towards the floor and just kind of pump into it and relax. Squeeze that glute and relax. Squeeze and relax. Good, just kind of pump and pump. Just kind of playing again with that end range that we've got. And then if your quad burns up, feels tired, just relax it back down. Kind of move again. Good, go back into that again. Get that leg up there, squeeze and contract, drive down and through. Still breathing, trying to control, nice, easy, deep belly breathing. Good, let's relax that down. Okay, so what we're gonna do is sink back. We're gonna straighten that knee that's been bent this whole time. Contract that quad. And get a little bit of a hamstring stretch back in here. For some of us, we may need a foam roller. Maybe we're sitting up here with this foam roller, kind of using the foam roller support to go through this. The further we can get forward, the more stretch we're putting through that chain, posterior chain, into that hamstring. Now we're gonna add a little bit of a toe flexion. Have the toe, point that up towards the ceiling. Good. Still breathing, just pump in and out of this. Touch that end range that we have. Great, all right. We're gonna add a little bit of a nerve floss to this. So we're gonna maximize the tension through our nervous system all the way through the end of this. So as we get to the end range of our contraction, our toe pointed, we're just gonna tuck that chin down towards the chest for a split second. It's a pretty different feeling, but it feels really great. If you're feeling any burning sensation, again, come up out of this a little bit. We don't want this to be a fiery position, but you can feel that tension that's running through all of this. Almost like you're trying to touch your forehead to your kneecap or to your shin. Just touch it a few times, play into it, see how that feels. Again, staying active with it all. Great. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get this front foot in line with our back knee. Okay, I'll face you for just a second here, just like that, okay? I'm gonna sink that foot out, again, kind of into that pigeon type position, but we're way active with this. Again, you can kind of rotate through here, okay? We can squeeze this glute and drive that hip down. We can squeeze our bent leg glute, almost like you're trying to sweep your leg out from underneath of you. Just for a couple of seconds, big breath, exhale, see if you can't sink a little deeper into that. Squeeze it again. Good, big inhale. Relax. See if we can't sink a little bit more. I like to put my hand inside of here. We'll look over that shoulder again. Good, feels like a nice pigeon pose. Reaching back. I like to kind of just, again, kind of pump in, pump in, pump in. Staying active with that. Good, we can do that same thing, rotating away. You can drop the elbow down if you'd like again. Just trying to play with that end range. Might feel a little junky. Good, all right. Come to neutral again. Just kind of feel how those hips feel. Right now, this one kind of feels light and airy, and this one's still feeling a little junky and tight. So, let's do the opposite side. We've got two. All right. Legs up, nice long linear lunge again, and we're gonna repeat all of that. So just kind of, again, wiggle around in this, feel out that hip. For me personally, this hip, it's got a completely different range of motion than my left hip. Keep breathing, staying active. Maybe we're kind of squeezing into that lunge a little bit. Awesome. If you find yourself holding your breath, you probably need to touch into that end range just a little bit more. Squeeze into it, big breath, control your breathing, slow everything down. Good. All right, let's go ahead and drop the elbows down. If we can, again, if you can't, maybe we're here. Maybe we're still kind of up and we're just kind of trying to sink into this a little bit and get a little bit lower. If we can get the elbows down, great. Make sure, again, keep that foot nice and active. Gripping the floor, Always having that contact between the heel, ball of the foot, and the ball of the fifth toe. Gripping the floor with your toes. Again, you can squeeze the glutes through this. You can wiggle around in it a little bit, kind of just touching that end range. Good, we'll come up. We'll look over that knee, back towards your foot. Try to get as much rotation as you can. Again, getting this down leg, nice long linear, squeezing that glute through here too. Still breathing. Great. I'm gonna rotate just a little bit here. Again, nice long linear. We're gonna drop the opposite elbow, reach away. Again, you can kind of use this to drive yourself over. You should feel a nice big stretch kind of all the way up that side. Still breathing. Again, just kind of wiggling in this position. Maybe you're driving that hip through. Just kind of touching those end range to come out. Touch and come out. Awesome. Come out of there. All right. Again, we're going to stick that back toe into the ground. Nice and tall here again. Squeeze that quad as hard as you can. Just drive those glutes towards the floor. Again, we're going major extension on that straight leg. Getting into really deep flexion on this front bent knee, front bent hip. Sweet. Pump, squeeze. Get into those positions. Maybe drive that knee outwards a little ways. Kind of get into, open up that hip just a little bit deeper. Still breathing. Good. Quads burned up. Give it a relax for a second. Let's go for one more. Squeeze that quad. Squeeze that glute. Drive down and through. Find yourself maybe holding your breath again. All right, let's go for that hamstring on that front leg. Again, just kind of squeezing that quad right now. Yeah, maybe this is a good time to have a foam roller handy where you can be here, or a wall where you can kind of support yourself as you're going through this. Everybody's gonna be a little bit different in what they're feeling here. Good. Start adding that toe towards the ceiling. A little bit of flexion right there. You might feel that a little bit more in the calf, a little bit behind the knee perhaps. All right, let's add that nerve floss, a little tuck at the end of it all. Again, you shouldn't have pain with this. Shouldn't be a burning, awful sensation. If you're feeling that, you need to come up out of this a little bit more, not add quite as much depth to all of this stuff. As we go, as we do this more frequently, ideally we'll get a little bit more range of motion each time as we're kind of touching that end range every time that we're doing this. All right, last one again. Let's get the foot in line with the knee, that back knee again. We'll drop that hip out. All right, kind of like a pigeon pose, that active pigeon pose again. And then just kind of play with it, Again, torso rotations. Maybe you're squeezing that back glute, kind of just driving into it, coming out and driving into it. When I do that, I feel a big grind kind of in the tension in that back hip capsule. Again, maybe I'm sweeping this leg out. I'm squeezing this glute, trying to sweep this leg out. Big inhale. Contraction with that inhale, exhale, and relax. See if I can't sink a little bit deeper into that and improve that little bit of range of motion in this hip, that end range, playing in those hip capsules. Let's do one more here. Let's big inhale, contract. Exhale, relax. Cool. Do a little rotation really quick and look over my back leg again. Kind of just teasing into it, wiggling. Feeling that end range. Again, you can look back over this direction. Kind of moving. Cool. Beautiful. All right. Let's organize ourselves one more time. Come back to neutral. Good. Let's feel that squat again. I don't know about you, but I definitely have much more range of motion in those hips. Feel like I can get into a really wide kind of butterfly almost. Feels pretty nice. All right, last little bit is we're gonna work through the toes, flexion of the foot here. Nice and easy. I just want you to drive that knee down towards the floor. Just little taps right over the knee, right over the toes, really just flexing through those metatarsal joints. Beautiful, back and forth. Maybe if you're super talented, we're up onto the toes here, kind of just playing with it. Maybe one side, back and forth. Okay, just working, working, working. Great. When you're done with it, see how it feels. Check out your improvement. Maybe you do a before and after of how that hip moves and after, and see how that feels. Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you next time.